Okay, so it's 10th of August. I just took a shower. It's only 9 a.m. I'm intending to reach Marina Bay Sands at 10:30 to set up. I did book a Grab, so that's the thing. I decided to get a Grab because I have a very heavy luggage. Like, I'm bringing as much as I can. I don't know how much will sell, and I don't know if people will be interested in what I'm selling, because again, it's a very anime focused convention and I am not selling much fan art, let's be honest. Like, I'm only selling Valorant stickers and Avatar postcards, but other than that, that's kind of it. Like, I don't have any other fan art in there, and I think it's gonna be a pretty decent sized crowd, like a lot bigger than all of the other conventions or like all of the other markets that I've been to. So I think it's gonna be good. I think the flow is gonna be good. I think the only thing that I really hope to do is to cover booth costs and to cover transportation costs for both me and my helper, and cover food costs, which I don't think will be a lot, but still. I think my biggest fear would be Comic-Con. I'm not gonna lie, I still haven't found anyone to share the booth with because it's a lot of money. And now that I think about it, I honestly don't think it's worth it. Maybe my opinions will change when I actually see the event, but I don't think it's worth the cost of the booth at this point, considering the cost of other booths. I just don't think it's worth it. But you know what? It's okay. I've already booked it, right? I've already booked it. Just go and see how it is. That's it. I'm a little bit nervous about the whole crowd situation, and I hope it's okay. I didn't film any of my prep yesterday because I did a lot of things yesterday last minute as per usual, but I think it's fine. Yeah, all the best.
It's so loud! Jesus! It's true.
How do you center this? That's not centering. Wait, turn it back. Oh. How do you center this? This sucks. Can record voice, right? Boo. Lame.
I don't really know how I feel about this. Let's just put it this way, okay? I have a lot of negative thoughts in my head about the kind of art that I'm making, and whether or not it's even worth it in the long run, because
I'm tired of just thinking about what went wrong a lot of the times and having to figure out how to change things and improve different aspects of either my merchandise or my sales, like my sales technique. And I think I'm just at a point where I am very done with my booths because it's not great, it's not bad. I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things where there is an aspect of social media where they make it sound like as if being an artist, you can earn thousands of dollars at every booth, at every con, at every event. But the truth is that it's so hard to do it, especially when you're not a fan artist. Especially in Singapore, I would say a lot of the bigger conventions that you see within Singapore are anime or Comic Con type of events, and they are very targeted at specific type of people that would go there to the artist alley to look for very specific fan art, essentially. And if you are like an original artist, the amount of booths or events that are available for original artists are just so few and far between. It's either they are very small booths, very small events where you'll see maybe 200 to 300 people, or there will be big events, but it's so curated to the point that you won't have a chance as a small artist simply because you are competing with a lot of other artists out there, and it's just there's just no in between, and that sucks. It sucks knowing that like at every event that I've gone to so far, I am either barely breaking even, and that's like not entirely considering manufacturing costs and whatever other like transport and food and all that. But it's either I'm barely breaking even, or I'm seeing maybe like $200 at best of a profit, which isn't really a profit because that technically goes off to paying back all of the manufacturing costs. And I think it's just such a vicious ass cycle because every time I'm like, oh, I want to make something else, and I end up spending hundreds, if not $1,000 to $2,000 on it, and realizing that, oh, actually, no matter how many booths that I do, I can't really cover that cost. I can't really break even. You know, I don't really know if I'm just not in the right market, if I'm just not making the right things. But every time that I think about it, I'm just like, holy shit. Then where? You know, how do I fix this? It's like, yes, I try something new, but it's still the same ending. And that's all to say that I'm very tired. I'm genuinely very tired of having to look for booths, of like attending booths, like making the effort to go down to booths, and to realize that yeah, I'm only just covering the booth costs. Maybe a little bit of the manufacturing costs, but not barely enough. I just feel like 2024 will be the year that I try out as many booths as I can, attend as many conventions as I can, and then in 2025, I don't think I will do much of it anymore, to be honest. I just don't think it's worth it, and I don't know if things will change and if I will even continue making new products. I don't know. I would just have to say that at least I tried, and that 2024 has been like a very experimental year for me. So I'm very proud of myself for that. But yeah. But it is what it is. We will see. Yeah. I'm done. I'm done. I am gonna attempt to go to bed. Okay. Bye.
Oh no. Is he alive?
It's okay.
No, it's not.
Became so prepared. Thank you so much.
I'm so done.
That's disengaged, put that one back down, safety.
Okay, so let's start with the location and the space. COSFEST 2024 took place at MBS, Marina Bay Sands Convention Center, Hall A. Yes, they only took up one hall, and I honestly felt like it was a very small space. It felt like a space where you could very easily cover within 15 to 20 minutes, not gonna lie. Okay, so the way that it's laid out, you basically walk through the entrance and there is an exhibition right in front of you. This exhibition space, I don't know what's the point of this exhibition space. Genuinely, I do not think I've seen people actually go into the exhibition space to look at the exhibition itself. Like, I maybe only caught like 5 people looking at it, and most of the people there, cosplayers especially, they just went there to take photos. So it speaks volumes as to what a waste of a space that was. Okay, I'm just saying. After you walk past the exhibition, the hall opens up to the artist alley right in front of you, and then further down the artist alley would be the cosplayer booths, and then on your right side would be the stage and the space for audience to sit. I will say that the stage is exactly the same size as the artist alley and the cosplayer booths. I don't like it. I actually don't like it. Okay, so the artist alley, and I'm splitting up artist alley with the cosplayer booths because it's very obvious that the cosplayer booths have a lot more space than the artist alleys. Artist alley space. So the artist alley, we had 8 columns, and every 2 columns were like A, B, C, D, and then there's another row down there that's E, F, G, H. So essentially, you had 8 at the top and then 8 at the bottom, and then following that towards the end of the exhibition hall would be the cosplayer section. And the cosplayer booths, there were like 2 rows essentially. I hated the layout. I absolutely hated the layout. I don't know if it was a miscommunication on the people who's setting up the exhibition itself or something else, but it's very clear that on the exhibition map itself, the store exhibit map, you could see that there are gaps in between the tables, right? It is non-existent for the artist alley tables. The artist alley tables, there was a gap every 5 tables, but other than that, everything else was like stuck to each other. The cosplayer tables, on the other hand, there were more than enough space for both booth owners to like walk out and like or like stand beside their booths. and they drew it like as if there were enough space between all of the tables so that we could stand beside our booths, when that was not the case. That was absolutely not the case.
Just to add more information, cosplayers pay the same price for the same type of table and the same amount of space, at least for COSFEST. And I could be wrong about it, but I'm pretty sure back then there was only one type of table available. And the fact that the cosplayer side had more space despite the same kind of map layout, it just isn't fair for the artist alley. I would have understood if the cosplayers did pay extra to get more standing space between the tables, and also that if the map layout reflected that difference, but that was not the case for COSFEST. So
I hated it. I really hated it. I think in terms of behind the booth, it wasn't. I think there was enough space. It's just that every other artist bought quite a lot of things, like genuinely quite a lot of things. There were a lot of boxes, a lot of luggages, and I also personally think I brought way too many things, to the point that in hindsight, after looking at my sales, I should not have brought that much. Genuinely, I should not have brought that much. It was so difficult to even have 3 people behind the booth because I did get a helper and I did buy a helper pass, which I felt like I wasted my fucking money on it. I'm sorry, but I did. But yeah, there's that. Another thing that I didn't quite like about the space was the noise coming from the stages. Because the stage was directed towards the artist alley, it was so fucking loud. It was so loud. Every time there was a performance, every time there was like the MC talking or whatever, you could hear every single thing. I had my loops in the entire event for both days because it was so overwhelming, it was so overstimulating, and I could barely carry a conversation with anyone that came to my table. Like we were shouting across each other. We were like it was so difficult to have a conversation essentially, and I hated it. I genuinely felt like I did not manage to communicate with people at all, and I think it was also because of the way that I set up. Again, I was not expecting the lack of space, but the way that I set up did not help to facilitate conversation. Yeah, I was really just not very happy with the space at all. Like, considering that you have so much space, if you remove the exhibition area, which no one was using, I think you definitely could have made a lot more space. I'm just saying, you could have made a lot more space between the tables. In terms of the walking aisles, it's wide enough for a lot of people to walk through, but let me get into the footfall and type of audience before I add on to this point, okay? Because even though there was enough space to walk through, there wasn't a ton of people that I was expecting. Like, it was crowded. There was a flow of people on Saturday. The only exception being towards the evening of Sunday, where there just weren't as many people. Completely understandable, but generally there would still be people walking. Okay, there would still be people walking past, and it's essentially my biggest event, the biggest event that I've been at. And I want to say that there were at least 1,000 people across both weekends. My guess. I have no idea. But my booth partner, Ginny, she runs Bushka, and she told me that it was a lot smaller of a crowd than she was expecting when she was comparing it to Dojin Market back in May. She kind of attributed the crowd to potentially the National Day long weekend, where most people could have gone overseas, very likely, I guess. And yeah, the crowd was fine. But like, I will say, in terms of the type of audience, a lot of the people there were very much looking for fan art, very much looking for anime styled art, fan art. It was very clear that they were a very niche kind of audience / customer base, because most of them, and I want to say like 80% of them, walked past my booth. walked past my booth. Yeah, they would see that my booth had absolutely no fan art, had no anime styled art, and they would just walk past. And I've got a theory that if you're sharing a booth and if someone buys from your partner's booth, it is very much unlikely that they will stop at your booth, and vice versa. I'm just saying, I feel like a lot of people have the idea that, oh, I've shopped at this booth, even though it's half a booth. They just think that, like, they don't want to stick around for the other half of the booth. Does that make sense? You know, I just think, yeah, that's my theory. Okay, in terms of vendors, it is very, very much heavy on fan art and anime styled art. Maybe 70% of them were anime fan art kind of stuff. 20% of them were cosplay tables. And then around 10% were kind of like original art with little to no fan art. What kind of fan art they sold, I would not be able to tell you. It's very varied and it spanned a lot of genres. Like, you could really tell that there were a lot of different kinds of animes that were being represented over there. So, working with COSFEST. Applications were pretty easy. They would put out a call for applications, and their application allowed you to book both COSFEST and their ACE event in February. I did book both of them, and it was actually pretty fast. The approval was like, I think 2 or 3 days, and then I got the approval, I signed, I sent the money. Yeah, it was very easy. It was honestly very easy. They sent out a lot of information a month before the event were to happen, and then you could buy extra passes for helpers, just 1 extra pass, so 3 passes for 1 table, 2 weeks before the event. And I 100% regret buying that extra pass because there's absolutely no way 3 people would be behind a booth. The only few booths that I can see them requiring a 3rd pass would be the cosplay booths, because they had space between each booth to have a 3rd helper, and also maybe people who bought 2 tables. But then again, if you bought 2 tables, you would already have like 4 passes, so you probably don't even need the extra passes. You know what I mean? In terms of the social media presence, there's honestly very little to talk about. A lot of the shout outs that they did were for cosplayers that would be there, and I don't think they were drumming up a lot of interest because the kind of performances that they got, I don't think people were really interested in. I have no idea. They posted the directory with all of the artists, but they did nothing interesting with any of it. It's literally just like they were posting the same photo, which is the map, and then in the description they were showing you like what artist is at what booth. Yeah, I didn't really see an ad running for COSFEST. I could be wrong, I don't know, but it really didn't feel like they had a huge presence on social media, which is kind of sad. But then again, they did focus a lot on cosplayers, which I think makes sense because they are called COSFEST. I just think that they should be stricter with their applications / booth apps, because if they wanted it to be such a cosplayer focused event, I just don't think they should be accepting original work artists, just to save everyone the time and money, you know? Let's get into the saucy, interesting part of everything, which I'm honestly very disappointed to say. But the finances. Basically, I did not make a single profit, okay? This is probably one of the worst events that I've done. Absolutely the worst events. Because I ended up bringing too much stock, I needed to take the cab to and fro from the event, and because I got a helper thinking I would need a helper, I also spent a lot of money on food and their transport combined. So again, I wouldn't be stating the actual numbers, but let me pull up everything. In terms of the number of sales that I made for COSFEST, I only made 16 sales across the 2 weekends, and I want to say we saw like 1,000 people, and I only made 16 sales. 11 of those sales were on Saturday, and then the rest of them were on Sunday. And in case you haven't seen my Cozy Crafts video yet, this means I made one extra sale in comparison to Cozy Craft. And Cozy Craft, I only saw about 100 to 150 people, about a tenth of COSFEST crowd. And I will say that about 84% of the people that bought from me were people that they weren't friends or they weren't vendors. So that's great. They were just like people passing by. That's great. But the average sales per person was around $13. So you can kind of calculate, right? You can kind of calculate. In terms of the sales by items, let me put up the pie chart for you, okay? These are the sales in terms of quantity of the categories I sold. So it's not the value of what I sold, but the quantity. So 52% of them were apparels. That included my socks and my shirt. And then 19% were keychains, and then the rest were a mixture of sticker sheets, stickers, prints, and others. Others being my pop grip. So, in terms of what sold well, I sold 7 black socks, I sold 3 purple socks, and I sold an equal amount of the blind bag, keychains, and my Tanghulu print at 2 each. Again, 16 sales, guys. 16 sales. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the quantity, so it's not representative of like the actual sale numbers, but I'm just saying. Yeah. And in case you missed out, I brought like 50 pairs of my socks each, because I was expecting it to just like fly off the shelves. And it did not. And I'm very embarrassed. I'm absolutely embarrassed by like just how stupid I was, expecting just like more people who would like my things, and it's very apparent that I need to do something else, or I just need to like figure out a different crowd, because it doesn't seem like they were my crowd. But in terms of my expenses, the booth cost, it is $172.50. Again, I shared the booth with my artist friend, so that meant that I got 60 cm of a 1.2 meter table. And it's kind of crazy that if I did not share, that this table would have costed me like what, 300 plus. I did pay $10 for a pass for my helper. In terms of my other expenses, I spent $86 on like transport to and fro at the start and at the end of the event, public transport in between. I also had to pay for my helper. And in terms of food and drinks, I spent around $60 for both me and my helpers. I'm just saying, this video, this event is really making me question the need for a helper for my future events, because I don't think I can continue affording this kind of things, man. It's so frivolous. So, to kind of wrap up everything, my thoughts about COSFEST, I would absolutely not be going back to COSFEST. I was having a conversation with another artist friend who was there, and we ended up talking about whether we would come back for COSFEST. And at that point, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll come back to COSFEST if they held it on a different date that wasn't like National Day weekend, and like maybe I'll do it. But let's be honest, I don't think I actually will. I think even if they do it on a different weekend, it is very obvious that it is not worth the time and effort to go for it, to attend it, and to waste my money there. So no, I will not be returning. I also would not buy a third pass. Actually, genuinely, do not buy a third pass if you know that you already are sharing a booth. Just don't. Unless you're a cosplayer booth, sure. But if not, don't buy it. Do not buy a third pass. Okay, no, wait. The exception is if you knew that you have a corner booth, sure. because then you have a space. You have enough space. But if you're not a corner booth, do not buy it. Do not buy it. I do think that if you tend to make fan art, if you sell anime styled art, original art, I do think that you could cover costs, to be honest. I do think it could be a good market for you. But yeah, if you are an original work artist, just don't do it unless like you have a following. If you have a following, sure. If you have money to burn, sure. If you have time to spend, sure. You know what I mean? I'm very glad at the end of everything that I did manage to share a booth, and I'll also share a booth for Ace. But yeah, that's it. Ironically, I actually preferred my white canvas event with the dripping aircon than all of my past 2 events. So that's fun. Have you done COSFEST before? Did you go to COSFEST to booth this time around? Do you want to share your experiences about it? Let me know in the comments. I know that sometimes it's a little bit more of like a sensitive thing to talk about your experiences and your income, and I think that's very fair. So, you know, share what you are willing to share. Would you go back to COSFEST if you did booth this time around? If you were a con goer, did you like COSFEST? Did you enjoy your time there? Did you have a different opinion on COSFEST as compared to me? Because I personally felt like I could have walked the whole convention in like 15-20 minutes, and the only reason why I would stay around is if there were performances that I was interested in, but I don't think there were a ton of performances by like overseas artists or anything like that. So I'm just saying, would you go back to COSFEST? Did you enjoy your time at COSFEST? Let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, that's it. I'll see you guys when I see you guys. If you want to keep up with all of my shenanigans, you can follow my social media. But yeah, that's it. I hope to see you guys next time. I'm sorry for the lack of regular posting, but it is what it is. Your girl just needs to edit more and faster. Anyway, bye!